What's up guys, you join me in Brisbane, Australia, the Sunshine State, for a Ford Media Drive, and we'll be testing out the new Ford Ranger Raptor. Now, just on the outside of it, it already looks very exciting. We're going to be driving on the road, off the road, high speed, low speed. This is going to be a real fun one. So as I'm sure you have all seen, this looks completely different from the previous Ranger Raptor. Just like the Everest, the headlamps and the grille stretches from side to side, giving it a much more menacing look. You've got scuff plates at the bottom here that extends inwards. Matrix LED headlamps. Towards the side here, new 17-inch wheel design wrapped in BF Goodrich tires. As for the air vents on the fenders and on the front hood, they're all functional. Ford says the tip of this front bonnet actually swoops up just a little to aid aerodynamics. At the back here, new tail lamp design of course, and this is where the blind spot radar actually is. Twin tailpipes, one on each side of the back. So the entire car, as you can tell, comes with a much more square profile. Whether you like it or not, I think it's subjective, but in terms of creating a presence on the road, I think they've hit the bullseye with this design. Right, moving inside, check out the welcome graphics. And that's even before I start the engine. You get a 12-inch fully digital instrument cluster that stretches from side to side with plenty of information, more than you can imagine. If you find these a little cluttered, there's a calm screen feature for a more minimalist, simple display. Towards the side here, man, this 12-inch display is just impressive. The resolution is really high, it's really sharp, multiple camera displays, different angles. There's even one for the tow hook. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is standard, wireless by the way. What I really appreciate though is that they've maintained the physical buttons for the fan speed controls and the volume, and not integrating it into the screen like most car manufacturers these days. I think it's actually a safety hazard, because if you have the controls here, you kind of have to lay your eyes off the road, you know, just to adjust the fan speed or the radio volume. I don't think that's very encourageable. Speaking of the steering, obviously you have a new steering wheel design which comes with magnesium paddle shifters. On the right hand side, things get a little more interesting. You get a steering wheel for different steering feel, obviously sport for a more engaging, connected feel. You get to set the suspension as well, 3 different settings: sport, off-road and normal. This though is by far the most fun and interesting button, allowing you to adjust different levels of noise on the active exhaust system. You have quiet, normal, sport, which gets a little louder, and Baja mode, which is the mode that you want to be on because it just sounds so much bassier and throaty. As for this R button here, this is basically the individual mode feature. Press this and you can have your individual settings, whether it's steering in comfort, exhaust in Baja, suspension in sport. Press this and you get the setting that you want. So the color of the exterior is called Code Red, and that extends to the interior as well. On the aircon surrounds, on the seats, and even on the steering wheel. As for the seats, these newly designed bucket seats are inspired by F-22 fighter jets. Although they may not eject, it looks really cool. This is how the new door lever looks. You don't have to pull it anymore like most conventional levers. This one, put your hand in and then it opens. Something which I've discovered to be quite useful as well, because it doubles up as a phone holder. Oh, before I forget, a Bang & Olufsen sound system is also available in the new Ranger Raptor. The front seat design similarly extends to the rear as well. You get Code Red stitching, Code Red accents on the side here, an armrest. USB chargers here, a USB-A, USB-C, rear aircon vents, and being a pickup, I guess pretty much it for the rear seats. Alright, now I'm gonna let you listen to how the exhaust sounds when it's in Baja mode. Does that even sound like a pickup to you? I don't think so. We've got 397 horsepower and a whopping 583 Newton meters of torque from a 3-litre twin-turbo V6. The best part about this engine is that it comes with anti-lag that keeps the turbos spooling for about 3 seconds even after you've lifted off the throttle, just so that when you step back on the throttle, the car will just be very responsive. Anti-lag in a pickup? Is this a rally car or what? Can you imagine a pickup having an active exhaust system with flaps that open? And press on the exhaust button on the steering wheel, you get quiet, you get normal, you get sport, and the loudest mode, Baja. Look at that. Oh. I mean, it's not just the performance figures that they have improved, it's even the connectivity, the technology. You get a full digital 12-inch instrument cluster with all sorts of parameters. Like, I know I sound overly enthusiastic and overly excited, but honestly, if you see this in the pickup, wouldn't you? You got a 12-inch display, super high resolution with all sorts of camera angle, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You get to see the approach angle, the departure angle. Man, there's so many things I can't even begin to even elaborate. Yo, my goodness. Woo! If I blindfolded you, put you in the passenger seat, and started accelerating like that, you wouldn't think that you're in a pickup. Honestly. Maybe a hot hatchback? So I've mentioned earlier we get to set the suspension settings. That's because the new Ranger Raptor comes with the Fox adaptive dampers that monitors the driver's inputs, the road conditions 300 times per second. Again, with the adaptive dampers, Ford says these are the most sophisticated and advanced ever to be featured on a Ranger. And from what I've experienced, I don't doubt them at all. Speaking of the most, this is also the most powerful Ranger ever made. Can you even doubt them? Nearly 400 horsepower, nearly 600 Newton meters in a pickup. Although, that being said, the 600 Newton meters you don't actually get at a low RPM like 1500, 1800 RPM like most conventional pickups. This one you actually get, I think, between 3500 to about 3800 RPM. And I think that's actually a safety measure, because imagine, just tapping on the throttle and you get all 600 Newton meters. That would be very scary, wouldn't it? The other thing I must point out is the 10-speed gearbox. Previously, when I was playing with the gears with the gear shift pedals, it felt like the car did not know what gear to be in, and it wasn't very quick to respond as well. But now, I'm in 6th, click 5th, click 4th, click 3rd, accelerate, click 4th, click 5th, click 6th. Jeez! Yo, I mean, the chief engineer actually joked about this car being similar to a European hot hatch. And honestly, just 5 kilometers into driving this car, it actually feels like that. I mean, except for the size, which is huge, the handling, the steering feel, the engagement, how connected you feel with the car, the power, the quickness of the transmission. He wasn't joking, man. Oh, this 10-speed gearbox, I tell you. It's a huge improvement, a huge step up from the 10-speed automatic gearbox from before. And speaking of which, the new Ranger Raptor even comes with something called the bottom-out control system, basically preventing the pickup from squatting too much as it accelerates. I think that kind of tells you how much power it actually produces. And the body roll, my goodness, I mean, it wasn't like the previous Ranger Raptor was very floaty, it didn't lean a lot, but with this, because of the extended wheelbase by 50mm, I mean, from what I can feel at least, from my first impressions, there's minimal. And this is a 2.2 ton, 2.5 ton pickup we're talking about. It's truly baffling, like it's truly baffling. And even on these narrow roads, considering how much bigger the body is, it actually doesn't feel very frightening to maneuver through. If anything, because of the new boxy profile of the car, I think it's even easier to estimate. Well, at least that's my first impressions.
6.9. Wow.
Okay guys, you know what? It reminds me of a Golf GTI. Honestly, like any of you who have either sat in a Golf GTI or even driven a Golf GTI, what you've heard just now, doesn't it sound similar? The pickups that we have in Malaysia are all very competent in their own right. Whether it's the D-Max, the Triton, the Ranger, the Navara, the Hilux. But as I've mentioned earlier, I've never really been a fan of pickups. And with this new Ranger Raptor, I don't think I've ever wanted a pickup more badly than this. We're just going through some really muddy trails at the moment. We've got the diff set in 4 low, and honestly, 3-litre V6 twin turbo, 600 Newton meters of torque. This kind of terrain, or even a more extreme terrain, was never going to be any problem for this Raptor. I mean, for your typical Ranger Raptor owner, I don't think you're gonna do a lot of extreme off-roading. So mild off-roading, slightly higher level than that, definitely not a problem. Most Raptor owners wouldn't be found toiling in the mud, but if they were, the Raptor isn't just capable right off the shelf, but it also makes it ridiculously effortless for the user as well. Alright, so we're going through some really uneven courses at the moment. We're gonna turn on the trail control mode, which is basically a cruise control for off-road courses. Simply switch this button on, control the speed. As you can see over here, set the speed on to about 4 kilometers an hour. No brakes, no throttle, the car will do everything on its own. What you're seeing here, guys, is not just performance, but intelligence. Bear in mind, with this trail control feature, the car brakes on its own, accelerates on its own. All the driver has to do is steer the steering wheel and direct the car. And the same feature also works for really steep downhill descents. So we've got the front diff lock on, the trail control on. I have set the speed to 2 kilometers an hour. All I'm gonna do is steer. That actually feels very scary. Legs off the brakes, legs off the throttle. All I'm doing is steering the car. Oh. Look. That's the sound of the brakes. Oh. That's very impressive. Like I said earlier, this car isn't just about performance, but also intelligence. Before we end the video, we have one last segment, high-speed off-road driving. Without further ado, let's go.
Alright, so looking through the corner, being nice and patient. Now, get the car nice and straight now on the gas. Keep it going, now brake. There it is, now turn it in. Now build it up. See it? Keep it going now. Good job.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I thought of doing a bit of talking while driving. Nah, that wouldn't have been possible, man.
It didn't take long for the new Raptor to show how it has risen to a new level of performance, not just with more power, but with more features and tech than you'd ever imagine a pickup could have. In fact, it completely sets itself apart from any other pickup available in the market today, with its passenger car-like qualities and ability to go places beyond the tarmac. Most of us still buy pickups for the purpose that it serves, but not the Raptor. It's not a pickup that you need, it's a pickup you want.